Drake. Welcome to Working Dragon Mystic, where we discuss real metaphysical and occult knowledge so that you can manifest real and tangible results in your life. This week, we're going to do a little bit on our Mage Minded series and talk about a phrase that I've been hearing quite a bit and getting a lot of questions about, and that's pointless learning. But before we do that, if you would, go over to workingdragonmystic.com. Check us out over there. You can find links to our online school where you can find work at your own pace courses that you can purchase, path workings like Dragon Magic 101, evocation, meditation, beginner to advanced. And the community, meet a great group of people who are very positive, helpful, problem solving, just a great group of people who are all interested in the occult and magic, share ideals and philosophies in a polite and rational manner. All right, now with that, let's go ahead and get into this. All right, pointless learning. This is a phrase that I've been hearing a lot. It's actually been kind of interesting because the first time I heard this was actually in a meditation with an entity. So the fact that it started popping up more and more um, in emails and stuff got me, thinking. And it's something I've meditated on a bit because I used to say learning's great. Nothing's a waste of time to learn, right? That's one of the phrases I used to say. But the more I meditated on this, the more I started thinking about it. Now, when we talk about this Mage-Minded series, we're talking about self-empowerment of ourselves. We're talking about self-sufficiency. We're talking about um, self-mastery. For some reason, I couldn't think of the word mastery. There we go, self-mastery. And, I've always been a big believer that self-sufficiency and mastery comes from learning, right? But at the same time, what is our most valuable resource, hands down, in life? And at the end of the day, that's our time. We all have a finite amount of time on this rock as we journey around the sun, and how we choose to use it dictates a great deal about us, right? And when I sat down to meditate on this, a lot of people like, well, you're just talking about working yourself to death because you're not allowing any record. Nope, nope, nope. That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean at all. I do believe that recreation time and how you spend it is valid, and it serves a purpose. This is a kind of a concept of mindfulness. Okay, let's get into this because this is talking about, are you wasting your time learning things that do you no good at all? No good at all, right? And this is a tricky one. There's a balancing act here. And the balancing act is where I've had a lot of the problems. I've spent a lot of my time meditating on this because I genuinely think learning stuff is good for you. I really, really do. Okay. The balancing act, though, and what you balance on, what's that pivot point we're balancing on? Well, the pivot point I have come to conclude is, what is your goals in life? What do you want in life? What are you trying to achieve? You need to know this answer. If you don't have this answer, your pivot point is already fallen. You're sinking into an ocean. You're going to drown because you don't got the pivot point to start with. You need to know that. Where are you going? What are your goals? Is it you're trying to achieve, right? And let's be honest, in all forms of magic, you need to have that answer. Otherwise, you're just pissing up a rope. It's not going to work. You're not really going to get anything out of it. Okay, so you answer that question first. Now the question is, what are you doing to achieve that goal, right? Those are pretty straightforward. Maybe you're trying to get a job, maybe you're trying to get a promotion. What are you doing at work? What are you doing magically to help that? I know a lot of people, they've been using magic to help them with prosperity, getting financially stable, increase their prosperity, increase their job, maybe free up time to have more time with family, right? They're doing all those things. And a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this, and so are some of my admin. One of you can actually, most of you who's in the community probably know the other admin I'm thinking about. We're really bad at taking on everything ourselves and just go, 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 right? We're really bad at that. So both me and this other admin have to look at the other one and say, whoa, 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 slow down, take a breather. Um, so, we overdo it, right? You need some relaxation time. You need some time to unwind. That's why I literally have set office hours for me where I'm in here in the office. I got my ritual work, I got my research, but there's a certain point of the day where I'm out of the office. Boop. Okay. Um, so, I go spend time with my wife. I go do some reading. I might play a video game or watch a movie or something, right? Now, that being said, I also do things where I'm usually learning something during these. I love documentaries and whatnot. I'm putting this in here because I'm watching a documentary, whether it's something where I'm learning something or whether it's, history based, doesn't matter, whatever it may be, I'm doing something to attempt to learn something. And that some people might say is pointless learning. Let's say I'm watching something on, I don't know, dermatology. Odds of me ever using anything dermatology related are pretty slim, right? At the same time, knowing what a lipoma or an cyst and what the difference are might help you. Maybe one day if you get one and you need to go talk to a doctor, you know what to start with. But I wouldn't say it's needless either because I don't overly indulge in it. I purposely would watch something like that when I'm relaxing, when I'm unwinding, right? I'm not watching it on business time. I'm not watching it on times when I'm supposed to be progressing toward my goals or the things I wish to achieve in life. Okay? So that's already in a bracketed relaxed time. Anything that's in your bracketed relaxed time, if you're genuinely relaxed by it, groovy, not a problem. I see no issues with it. However, and I have a self example on this, which I've talked to a friend and like he didn't even give an answer because he knows I'm right because he's done the same thing. Anyone ever heard of that little game called Skyrim? There's so many people I know who has played hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours into that game. They've probably purchased multiples editions of it. I know I have. And it has a really great replay value. And it's one of those games you can sit down, you can kill an afternoon in. It's very relaxing. Okay. At the same time, if I step outside the game and ask myself, how much time have I spent on the internet researching and learning things about Skyrim, the crafting system, and all these things, and these little things I wanted to try, or this, and the challenge modes, and all that other stuff, that number gets really high really quick. In fact, I would dare say I probably sank enough time into that that I might be able to get a second bachelor's degree or something. You never know. It's bad. And that is time that could be wasted. And you said, well, Drake, didn't you say that things that are relaxation, in your time? Yeah, that could. But I can actually think of days where I literally started reading, started researching, and I lost track of time and my day was gone. Right? There was like nothing got done that day. Nothing that was supposed to get done got done that day. That was a bad thing. Okay, that's one thing. And then there's how much time do you sink into learning that is absolutely not going to help you in any way? Because let's be honest. Yes, I can play Skyrim to relax. All the study time I put into Skyrim, all of it, doesn't change the fact that Skyrim relaxed me. It didn't increase the relaxation, didn't do any of that. So technically, in my actual real life application toward achieving goals and stuff, I honestly don't feel as if any of that research actually applied and helped in any way, and I'm never going to get any of that time back, right? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you shouldn't research a video game or hobby, just mindfully so, because these are some of the biggest pitfalls I found is hobbies. It is so easy for a lot of people, especially individuals like me who have ADHD, OCD, and all these other things, to just get absorbed and just start sucking in information and get like hyper focused on it and lose days, week. It is very doable. So you need to be mindful of how you're spending your time and how you're researching it, right? And since doing that, I have been a lot more mindful. So I try to do all my leisurely stuff like that, whether it's a video game I'm playing or D&D or anything, try to do that in my leisure time. Now, that being said, throughout the day of work, I usually have some times where there's little pockets of nothing to do. And those usually come in when I'm uploading a video or a video's processing from editing or something, right? If I do those, then I specifically will click over, I'll have that tab, I'll read on it, I will screenshot it, whatever I need to do to mark it. And when that's done, I close it. That's just, I'm done. So I do little small snippets there if I have that opportunity. Oftentimes, I don't have that opportunity because, well, it's processing. I need to clean the kitchen or take out the trash. There's other things around the house I need to do. But if you can sneak them in and you're mindful of where they're going, you've got 15 minutes for a video processing, fine, take 15 minutes, read on your video game or whatever it is you're doing, but don't read for 20, 25, or 30 minutes because you need to get back to work. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? And look at what you're learning and why. Okay. Now, there's a lot of people. This is a debatable one, and I don't think there is a clear answer. I don't think anyone is clear to say what is needless information and not. Like I said, I can say that everything I learned about Skyrim really isn't going to help me in life. It's not. I can't think of any way it's going to help me. Um, but that's what that is, right? And I've studied plenty of video game lore over the years. I'm old, people. I remember Frogger. I remember the Atari. It's just one of those things. Um, but your leisure time's your leisure time. But at the same time, only you can determine what is and isn't useful or useless information, right? Because like I said, I love documentaries. I actually love cooking shows. So if I'm watching a cooking show, I love to, learn about new techniques, new ingredients, new things that I might be able to apply in my life. Now, I've heard the argument, well, that's kind of pointless. They're sitting here cooking potatoes and rice and vegetables, and you're never going to use that technique. You're a freaking carnivore. All you eat's meat, blah, 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 yakety smackety. Right, right, I am. I'm a carnivore. That's what I try to eat always, but at the same time, occasionally, I like to try, I'm okay with allowing myself to have one meal every couple months where maybe I want potatoes. I'm Southern. I like fried taters, people. Um, and I do actually hope, like I know the reason I'm carnivore is health reasons, right? I know I'm insulin resistant. I know my doc said I had fatty liver, all these things, right? I know there's health issues that I'm trying to reverse and cure. I hope one day that not only will those things get better, will I get the weight off, will though, all that be straightened out, but I would actually hope that perhaps I can get back to eating in a more balanced way where I could have potatoes and stuff a bit more often without it immediately um, trashing me. So I wouldn't call that useless. Also, there's the fact that I would toss back. I'm Southern. We do hospitality. I have friends. I have family. I have associates that I work with, and I cook for them quite often. All of them. They're not all carnivore. I got a whole gamut of friends. I got vegetarians. I got vegans. I got people eating all kinds of stuff. So I don't just like here's a burger. Well, where's the bun? You don't get no bun at my house. No, that's just stupid. I don't do that. So I would say that's not useless. That is still something I could use. But again, it's you kind of got to sort through it, like, right? And I would even say like learning about video games and let's like I know people who get into controller efficiency, like the best way to set their controller up for this or this or this. Now to me that sounds crazy. That sounds ludicrous. Why the hell are you wasting your time? It's a game, right? Don't get it. However, there are people who are professional gamers. There are people who literally do make a living playing a video game, whether it's on the YouTube where they're streaming it or whether they're actually going to tournaments and stuff. Um, I mean, I've heard there's actually supposedly somewhere, probably Japan, actual Pokemon tournaments where people actually fight their little Pokemons on their game and there's money. That sounds pretty cool. I'm not that good. I don't know if it's true either, but I've heard it. These are people that I would say that form of knowledge and information is probably a really good thing for them to have because that has a direct impact on their life and their goals, right? Just like I would say, generally speaking, weightlifting and bulking advice might not be directly relevant to me because I have no interest in bulking. Like I'm more of a calisthenics guy. I want functional, flexible muscle, that kind of stuff. So you could say that's a little less useful to me, right? You could. But I think it's on the fringe here because I still think that information and knowledge might be helpful. You never know. I may want to decide, you know what? I want to put on some bulk. May happen. Might do it one day. You never know. So you sort through it a little bit. And when it comes to magic, what is it that matters to you? Is it something you're never, ever, 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 ever going to use? I don't know. That only you can know. I'm a big proponent when it comes to learning about magic. I try to study everything to some extent and try to get an understanding of it, enough to figure out if it's something I will use or if it interests me. And I know me that if I'm not interested in it, I probably won't use it all that often because I won't think about it, right? I know that. So there's plenty of things where I've studied enough to kind of get a feel for them and an idea of what they are, but overall they don't really interest me at the time, and I just kind of shelve it. Some of them I never come back to, ever. Some of them I do come back to. It's like, I remember this thing. So yeah, and then there's some systems where I've read it and I realized this, yeah, not me. And I have shelved them and I have never gone back. But I also don't spend my time deeply researching them. And there's plenty of things out there that I have no interest in at all. And even during MCH live, when you guys ask me questions, whether it be numerology or something, where I've told you all that is something I've never really had an interest in. What little I've looked into it, I've never gotten anything resembling results. So I'm not the right person to ask these questions to, right? I've never gotten results. There's plenty of stuff out there. Um, Astrology and numerology are two of the bigger ones. I'm not a big proponent in either of these two things. And that's not to say they don't function. That's not to say people don't have success with them, but I'm just not the right mage to talk to when it comes up to them. Right? So we have to pick it apart. And I think the key to this is genuinely taking a hard look at ourselves in the mirror, asking ourselves what we genuinely want to achieve in life, why we want to achieve it, coming up with a game plan to achieve it, and then figuring out how we utilize and spend our most valuable resource, which is our time, to get there, right? I know a lot of people do not want to build a Fortune 500 company. Honestly, I can't blame them. Most people I know who do dream it, they sacrifice a lot. They work 60, 70, 80 hours a week. They usually have several divorces under their belt. Um, you know, Probably a coronary and a heart attack, all these wonderful things. But they're willing to make those sacrifices because what their goal is. And if that's their goal, hey, great. Not my goal. Um, some people want a bunch of cars. If that's your goal, that's your goal. Some people want a big house. Again, if that's your goal, that's your goal. Figuring out how to make it happen. I don't want a big house because I don't want to have to clean it, to be honest with you. But you got to figure out what your goals are and how you're spending your time. Because if you want some kind of wealth, if you want some kind of money, if you want some kind of prosperity, if you want a house or you want some cars, you're going to have to find a way to get those. And I'll be honest, I've never really achieved much playing Skyrim or other video games. Just that's the truth. I've never pursued professional paid gaming. Not gonna lie about that, but it's the same thing. And woodworking, I actually do enjoy woodworking some. I'm not good at it, but it's a relaxing hobby. And I'm not gonna say I've never made money at woodworking. I've actually have. I've even learned how to sew because I honestly think being able to repair your clothes and whatnot is kind of a handy skill. It's something I learned years and years ago, but I took it to the next step. We were doing some Renaissance festivals, some steampunk, I think is what it was called, and stuff like that, with some friends. Me and my wife were, and we got into a group where they were doing some Norse stuff, and well, Norse clothing was hard to find back then. I don't know how it is now. So I literally took my knowledge and I was talking to someone. She was teaching me how to make these outfits and whatnot. And I would literally sew and make these things myself. Um, and it was a handy skill. Do I really do it now? No. Um, I can do it if I need to. I've made a cloak for my wife. She absolutely loves it in the winter when it gets cold. I have that skill set. It's a useful skill set, but it's also not something where I'm going to dump excess time into because I'll be honest, it doesn't relax me to do it. I know people who sew to relax. That's not me. That's not me. But I am still thankful to have that skill set. But think about what you want in your life and where you're spending your time. Really do. Figure that out. and figuring out what you're spending your time learning. Because I have seen people, I know a guy, I was talking to him, like he can tell you everything political and all this stuff, and he's talking about, like he's talking about the stock market and Bitcoin and all this, and I was like, man, you sound like you really got a handle on this. Why is it you're not investing? Why is it you're not purchasing your own Bitcoin? And he's like, well, I ain't got the money. Well, why not? I ain't got a job. Okay, what are you doing? And I actually found out he's living with his mom and he spends all day playing a video game while just running videos on YouTube about politics and investing. And he's just kind of regurgitating what's being said on YouTube and not even really checking the details. So, is that useless learning? Is he using his time efficiently or well? I don't know. And that's another thing. Are we using our time well? That's probably you. Some people would say I could do a whole video on that, but at the same time, I'd say really, you kind of have to figure that out. Are you meeting your goals? Are you happy in life? Are you happy where you're at? Because if you're happy where you're at and you're ready to coast, no one can say much about it. I mean, if you can maintain the lifestyle you want and you're not draining on anyone else, who's to say, right? Because you're taking care of yourself and you got the lifestyle you want. If you can't say that, then I would look at how I'm spending my time, and you need to figure that out. But you know, again, it comes down to personal viewpoints. So if you hear this term, pointless learning and whatnot, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people, if it pops up more and more, that will have their opinions. But um, from a mage's perspective, I think learning is a good thing. Every bit of knowledge that we can have, that we can utilize in our lives, is a good thing. The caveat is don't fall into the pit trap of wasting time that could be used to get you where you want to go, to achieve the things you want to achieve. Because time is hands down our most valuable asset. And we've only got a finite amount of it. And if we waste it, we can never get it back. And that's a terrifying thought, really. I know I've wasted plenty of it in my life, and I wish I could get it back, but I can't. So we got to make the best of what we got and meditate on it. Think about it. If you look at my prosperity videos, I tell you to meditate on what you want, where you're going. Um, I did a workshop about magical planning. Again, we talked about, knowing where you're going, what you're going, how you're going, planning things out. All those things help us to use our time efficiently. And I would even say help us to avoid the pitfall of useless learning, pointless learning, whatever you want to call it. Because what we're learning, what we're spending our time on, is working toward our goals and working toward us achieving whatever it is we're trying to achieve in our life. Every person's an individual, right? Every person's got their own goals. And that's why you also got to figure out what is needed, what is pointless in your life and to you, right? So those are my thoughts on this little topic that's been drifting around. And I hope you guys do take the time to do a little meditation or thoughts on this. And I hope you enjoyed this video and these ramblings and my thoughts that I've found so far. Maybe we'll address this in the future again. I know I'm certainly going to be doing more meditating on it, um, but we will see. All right. Till next time, everyone, I'm Drake. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel and join us over at the online community at workingdragonmystic.com. Until next time, take care. Goodbye.